Bubbly.
A little bit of the bubbly.
A little bit of the bubbly.
Robo bubbly.
Yeah.
I got none of it around here. I just
Proud
had
sponsor of the show.
I just had some right here, but I'm done with it.
Yeah. Wishful thinking.
Yeah. Yep. So back for another round of Babyface breakdown.
Yep, you got the name right.
I got it right this time. Babyface breakdown, Victor Thorne or John Avizer, and that's
Boosh Dingo, the lucha dork, as you see.
I see that. I saw the name. I was like, "Good God, what's he gonna do?" I saw lucha dork. I was like, "I'm not going to have to pull out my lucha mask, aren't I? I don't look good in lucha masks."
Well, you've got the hat. I'll have the mask.
I was gonna say the hat's kind of my trademark. I can't really get rid of the hat.
No, a hat and mask combo that can work.
Nah. Ooh, we have a good match going on right now. We're near like the main event time, but
okay.
Yep.
Yeah, as I'm scrolling through, I see some Shawn Michaels, Wesley backstage hugging and kissing action. That's interesting.
Yep, I think Shawn had a lot to do with that ladder match.
I could see that.
Shawn does a lot of good stuff with NXT ladder matches. I think he's involved with a lot of them.
Well, I think, one of his, I guess,
great matches.
Yeah, I was about to say it's hard to talk about, great matches that Shawn Michaels has had without talking about the infamous ladder match with Scott Hall, R.I.P.
Ramon, yeah. Was that WrestleMania 12?
Ah, man, that sounds close, if not accurate.
So say it was for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
It was for actually both Intercontinental titles. So it was one of the WrestleManias. I don't know if it was 12. I think it was 12 because, yeah, it was probably 12 or 11 because 12 was the same year that the ringmaster Steve Austin defended his $1 million championship against Savio Vega.
Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate.
Which is way before my time, but I can still remember that.
The fact that you even know that. No, it was WrestleMania 10.
WrestleMania 10?
Yeah.
10. Really?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I have a whole WrestleMania anthology from WrestleManias 1 to 25.
Yeah, that's what I'm pulling up. Yeah, ladder match to WrestleMania 10.
Huh. Good to know. I got wrong at one point. I got something wrong.
I
got WrestleMania right.
It's bound to happen though. I have a hard time keeping them straight, especially the further you go back. So it's forgivable.
Yeah, I guess so. We are live though. 3 minutes in live, just some small talk.
Yeah. So what's new this week?
I don't think there's much new except for well, Halloween Havoc, of course, is tonight and is playing right now. It's been on since 7 o'clock Central Time.
Okay. I guess the Athena news was pretty. That's new. The Athena match that I told you about, where she apparently started to shoot on shoot fight that girl. I can't remember her name.
It was in a dark match, right?
Yeah, it was on dark.
Just no selling moves.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't seem to be much. It was just like maybe, and it didn't even seem, necessarily deliberate. I think the girl maybe just kind of had a misstep. So Athena went for a clothesline. She hit her with the clothesline, and the girl just kind of stumbled. She didn't take the clothesline and fall, and that just seemed to instantly, rile Athena up.
Jody Threat.
There you go, Jody Threat. That's
Jody Threat was the opponent.
Yeah,
just no selling certain moves and just angered Athena, FKA Ember Moon.
Yeah, and I mean, she threw her down and gave her a couple of good forearms or fists, which looked really good. But then she picked her up in a suplex and just kind of dumped her out of the ring, and she took a pretty hard fall. But from what I read, they were both approached as soon as the match was over. Just to kind of make sure that there wasn't any, legit beef with them. I guess with what's, been going on in AEW backstage with CM Punk, Andrade and Sammy Guevara, Kingston and Sammy Guevara. They
anybody in Sammy Guevara.
Yeah. I'm beginning to see a
pattern,
a common thread there with one of those guys. But yeah, I think they wanted to kind of nip that in the bud. Pretty quickly if there was any problems, but Athena supposedly said she was fine. Threat said she was fine, which I Threats, I think that was her first AEW appearance, so of course being an indie talent, unsigned, you're getting that opportunity. I don't think she's going to rock the boat, even if she had some gripes or was a little upset about it. She's probably going to keep her mouth shut. But yeah, I mean, it happened. The kind of stiff blows right afterwards, I can kind of forgive and see, but the way that she, picked this girl up and dumped her out of the ring, that was seemed pretty dangerous. It is what it is, but I think they should probably run with it. Just go ahead, turn Athena heel, and just kind of make an angle out of it. Just make her
probably.
Yeah, I mean, which I would have thought maybe working some of the other backstage stuff, that we mentioned: Andrade, Guevara, Kingston, Punk. It's crazy that all that's gone down and they haven't turned any of it into an actual angle.
Yeah, no, it's all weird. It's all fuzzy. I'm trying to think. I knew something happened with Adam Page last week.
Or I haven't seen the clip, but apparently he had a match with Moxley and got pretty seriously injured to the point where people were legit concerned for his well-being.
Yeah, he got knocked out by a good lariat.
Yeah, I think he was supposed to duck the lariat or something. There's some miscommunication, maybe. I'm not sure.
I think it wasn't ducking the lariat. I think it was that the lariat was too high.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was an oversell into an actual injury.
That makes more sense. Oversell takes the over onto his head and
wasn't have time to block it just right to the floor and just took that bump to the head and knocked him right out.
Yeah, because I saw the MJF tweeting. I saw Mick Foley made a post about it after it happened. I'm not quite caught up. I'm still I think I'm a week or two behind on AEW. So I didn't actually see that show. Didn't see the clip going around either. So I'm not exactly sure what happened there. I mean, it's the babyface breakdown. I don't want to turn heel, just yet. Try to keep it more on the positive note. So we might have to keep the conversations about Adam Page to a minimum. I'm not an Adam Page fan.
Really?
Really not a fan of the guy. Some of it's, Adam Page, the person, I'm not really crazy about. But Adam Page, the wrestler as well, I think he's extremely overrated. The fact that he got the push that he got in AEW just blows my mind. I don't think he's quite ready. There was a point in time where I would have told you, down the road in the future, but I think I think they kind of pulled the plug on that a little too soon. Even though, I mean, there is a fair point to be made about him being over. You know, the cowboy, stuff. Censoring myself there, but his
his whole shtick.
Yeah, that's that seemed to be pretty over. So I get kind of why they went with him so early, but I don't think he was quite.
I didn't like his storyline with the Dark Order. That's one thing I didn't like.
It's weird. It's an odd storyline, man. Now I don't watch any of the BTE and the the little vlog.
I barely look into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that whole Dark Order Adam Page thing started from one of those type, extra behind the scenes, video type things that I don't pay any attention to. I've never watched a single episode of Being the Elite. I hear about it, but I don't know anything about it. So I know there has been some other storylines, angles, relationships, things like that have kind of birthed, out of that series. But I just don't have the time to really pay that much attention.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we had the whole Adam Page thing going around. There is a report he is fine.
Yeah, concussion, I believe.
Concussion. They diagnosed him with concussion. He'll be out for a little while, but right now he's on the recovery side.
No, I don't mind him being out for a little while. That's not gonna hurt my feelings at all.
Yeah, it's better to wrestle at your full. I get it. Sometimes wrestling is your life. Wrestling is your job, but also you need to be fully prepared for that job.
Yeah, I mean, when you're, it's a dangerous job. So, it would make me a bit nervous, getting into the ring with a guy that, wasn't 100%. And with AEW, they're, I think part of their goal is to kind of space these guys out a little bit with how they work, give them time off. So they're not working the rigorous schedule, that wrestlers have had to wrestle in the past. Back in the day, I get it. You don't really have the time off. You just can't afford it,
Right.
But I think that's been kind of a goal of AEW's is to I think that's part of the reason the roster is so big, just kind of not overwork these guys, which ends up being a good thing when you have somebody injured. They can actually take the time off that they need.
Right. Well, in other AEW news, we are getting the MJF versus Jon Moxley match at, I believe, Full Gear.
Well, I'm down for that. That's why I was a little disappointed when it was Adam Page versus Moxley. It's just, Adam Page being back in the title picture again just doesn't interest me. But MJF, on the other hand, I think it's again, like I said, I can understand pulling the plug on Page and kind of putting him there, putting the title on him because he was so over and so hot. But MJF has been over and hot from day one, and still has he had a title other than the
MJF has had the CZW championship before?
Well, in AEW, has he?
No, he's only had the Dynamite ring.
Right.
He's been in competitions for more titles, though.
Yeah, but he hasn't won one yet. So it's
no.
I don't know. You could argue that he's overdue, and now might be a good time to
I don't want him to win the AEW World Championship. I don't feel like this is the right time, really.
I wouldn't do it right now. I'd give it a little bit more time as well, just because he doesn't need it. He's over. He
doesn't need a title, really. I mean, he definitely deserves one. He's a great athlete and he's great on the mic. He just doesn't need one.
No, it doesn't. Doesn't benefit him in any way. However, it might benefit the title.
Maybe.
With all the back and forth flip flopping that they've had, with Moxley's now in his third reign, and number 2 and number 3 for him, Both happened.
Number third reign. I'm like,
pretty frequently.
dude, just give it. Bryan Danielson, I believe, should have been the AEW World Champion.
I thought he was going to be the guy this last time, especially when you saw the kind of the memes going around about, Punk leaving WWE, and then they go with Bryan. Punk leaves Ring of Honor, they go with Bryan, and then Punk leaving AEW. It just seemed like just put it on Bryan so we can kind of have this meme,
I think the reason they didn't do it is because of the meme.
That's probably a good call, because I think a lot of people were expecting it, So you go, you go with what people don't expect, which to me is a good thing in this modern era, because it's hard to have surprises and secrets and things in the business. Everything gets leaked, and it gets to a point where there aren't any surprises. So I think going with Moxley instead of Bryan was a bit of a surprise for me. But Bryan, will get there. I have no doubts that he's going to be AEW champion at some point in his career. So,
right. But right now he's not. It's Moxley.
And also, I would say, just like MJF, Danielson doesn't really need the title.
No,
he's over. He's
he's a main eventer. He's always been a main eventer.
Yeah,
you put the title on him, he's already great. He's already been there, done that. I'll do it again if I have to.
Well, again, I'd say it might have been more beneficial for the championship than for Bryan himself, which I think Moxley is a good champion. I think he does the title good. He looks the part. He's not my favorite, but he's got a good look. He's got a good gimmick. He's over too. People like him. I believe he moves merch. So.
I'd hate to say this. I don't even think I'm not going to say it. Actually, no, because it just doesn't feel right to me.
It doesn't feel right to say what you were about to say.
Yeah, because I was just gonna the way he's been acting lately and the way that his matches have been going.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like Moxley's an early Stone Cold Steve Austin.
There's correlation there.
And it just feels so wrong to say that.
He'll never. I don't think he'll ever hold a candle to Stone Cold, and but I definitely see similarities in the gimmick. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see Moxley at some point, chugging beers after the match.
Probably.
Might be a little too on the nose though. So
yeah,
like they'll probably shy away from that.
Something's a bit off here.
Yeah.
Well, the title of this video is for Halloween Havoc, which has been going on a lot tonight. The main event's about to go up, which will be Ilya Dragunov versus JD McDonough versus Braun Breaker for the NXT Championship in a triple threat.
Okay. I'm not really familiar with any of those guys.
Okay.
I know a little bit about Breaker. Him being a Steiner. I of course had to check him out some. But I haven't gotten back into the swing of WWE and NXT, so I'm not really familiar with those guys.
That's okay. I can break it down for you.
Yeah, break it down. That's what we're here for.
Yep. All right. So JD McDonough, formerly known as Jordan Devlin, former NXT Cruiserweight Champion. It was the only title he's ever reigned in. He's from the NXT UK. Had many rivalries with Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, Santos Escobar. Just great stuff. The Irish Ace is what his name was. I'm pretty sure it's not what his name is anymore. The match is about to come on, right? Yeah, it is Irish Ace. I see it right now. So Irish Ace is his nickname. He likes, I don't get it with UK guys with the headbutts.
I'm not a big fan of the headbutts, man. I mean, there's some guys that do it well. a lot of times, you're just headbutting another guy's chest. It's not a believable.
I was going to say McDonough, Dragunov, McIntyre, Dunn, a few other guys from the UK just headbutts. I'm like, I've done some headbutts in actual wrestling, and I'm like, that hurts.
No, yeah, it's one of those things that you run the risk of doing more damage to yourself than your opponent, or doing an equal amount of damage to yourself as you're doing to your opponent. So I don't know. It's one of those things that's never really appealed to me. I'm not a big fan of headbutts.
Yeah.
Benoit, of course, the flying headbutt. That was
Now that's Dragunov has a finishing move called the Russian torpedo, is what I believe it's called, where he just rushes in and he just headbutts straight into them, where it's like a running headbutt.
I'll have to look into that.
But yeah, it's JD McDonough. He's already had an NXT title match before. I think you're putting him as more as a psychopath.
Okay.
But I think that's all I have on him. Ilya Dragunov is actually one of my favorite NXT UK guys, other than Pete Dunne.
Okay.
Because, in my opinion, for the past...
Was Dragunov teamed with Dunne at some point?
I don't think so. I know in my 2K game they are.
Okay.
So I have him teamed in my 2K game. But Ilya Dragunov...
I just pulled up a picture of Dragunov, and he's wearing kind of the fur, like, vest thing, kind of like.
I love his attire. His attire is great. Former NXT UK champion, had to relinquish the title due to injury. Had a fantastic match with Walter or Gunther for the NXT UK title at TakeOver, WrestleMania weekend TakeOver, none other. And it's my favorite match since Ciampa versus Gargano.
Okay.
I think that's like the best match ever since. I haven't seen a great NXT match like that in a while. It went on. It was brutal. It was just cut ruthless.
I'm not a huge Gargano fan. I'm a big Ciampa fan.
I'm a big Ciampa fan. I don't like Gargano all that much. I believe he's talented, but I don't like him.
I've seen good and bad from Gargano, but I do think Ciampa brings out the best in him, whether it be side by side or opposing one another. Some guys just have chemistry, and I think Gargano and Ciampa do. That's about the only time I pay Gargano any attention. Is when he's either teaming with Ciampa or going head to head with him. I'll tune in for that. But yeah, not a big Johnny Wrestling fan otherwise.
Yeah. And so Ilya Dragunov just ran down on him. And then about Braun Breaker. He's a Steiner boy, 2-time NXT champion. I think he's a little overpushed.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Whenever he came on the scene and won the championship.
I was like, 2 months in, he's already won the title. I'm like, wow, that's over pushing it.
Well, who else was kind of in the main event title picture at that point?
Let's see. Samoa Joe relinquished the title. Ciampa got it. Out of all the NXT stars, Braun Breaker I wouldn't put the title on during that time, especially in the 2.0 era. God.
Who did he win it from?
He won it from Ciampa.
Okay. Was Ciampa injured or what?
No.
Nothing around that time?
No. It was just they gave it to him, and Ciampa tried to get it back, and then Ciampa got put on the main roster.
Yeah.
And then
I would have kept it on Ciampa, man.
I just didn't see it all that well with Ciampa, especially in the 2.0 era. And they took away his like psycho gimmick, his like bloodthirsty killer gimmick.
Yeah.
Just made him like a Miz heel. I'm like, they wrote him off of the Miz. So we're gonna see what they're gonna redo with him.
Yeah, but, has he been doing anything lately?
No. Past like 3 weeks, he's not been on TV with the Miz. Yeah, nope. So I think they wrote him off from the Miz, and the Miz is doing the whole Dexter Loomis thing. I think they're going to bring in Ciampa with Gargano, or like Ciampa in a U.S. title picture against Rollins.
I'd pay to see that.
Yeah, I've always wanted Ciampa to like win a mid card title or like tag team title. I don't think Ciampa's quite world champion material just yet.
Not yet. I mean, he is, but in terms of how he's been handled in
In terms of popularity and in terms of skill level and mic level, yeah, no, I don't think he'd be world champion for another 4 years, maybe 3.
Yeah.
I'm being very like,
he's got the potential, but
yeah, he's got
quite.
a lot of potential for it.
Yeah.
So the match has been underway. Triple Threat started. I'll just watch and talk.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
I'm just scrolling, seeing some of the results. Seeing some interesting stuff.
Yeah, we had a Grayson Waller versus Apollo Crews casket match earlier.
Yeah, how was that?
That was surprisingly good. Not very short. I think it was like 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
It was like a 15-minute match. You don't really see many casket matches or like what is it? Buried alive matches anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to not think about the Undertaker, with those
They
matches.
reference the Undertaker. Like Grayson Waller did the whole neck thing and was going for the tombstone, but got reversed.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I love the Undertaker. That might have been something that I would just kind of would have, let be his thing, and
yeah, I get that.
Wasn't Darby Allin and I guess Brody King, didn't they have a casket match at some point recently in AEW?
Yeah, and then Darby ended up winning that. Yeah,
it's just ridiculous. Like Darby's good, and he's a bit of a risk taker, and he's tough. But yeah, seeing those two guys side by side, Brody's huge compared to Darby. So I don't know. I have a hard time sometimes with guys that are a little too small going up against guys that are a little too big, and it being believable.
well, I believe it was more striker ability and technician ability versus powerhouse.
Yeah,
which is believable because you've always had Kurt Angle go against certain bigger guys.
well, I think too, having Darby, they've kind of set Darby up as somebody that can take the pain.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like he enjoys it or thrives on pain to a degree. So that helps with the believability for sure. I definitely think he's a tough kid that can take a beating. But yeah, I did see. This is kind of a side note since we're talking about size. Said who's the guy? Omos.
The Nigerian giant. Omos.
I saw a clip earlier of him and Braun Strowman face to face.
I was going to bring that up.
Braun Strowman is huge.
I've been in person. I've been right next to both of them in the live crowd. Braun Strowman's great. He's giant. I've been front row seat with them. Omos towers over everybody.
Oh yeah. I mean, he made Braun look small.
Yeah, it was like, oh, God.
Yeah.
Braun's what, 6'7", 6'8", just about as tall as Baron Corbin.
Yeah, I think he's taller than Baron Corbin.
Maybe by an inch.
Yeah.
But like Omos is like what 7'2", 7'3", maybe just at 7 foot.
Yeah, but even size, just in terms of how they're built,
Braun's definitely stronger though. It's just Omos. Omos is just giant. I think he's just he has that genetic. I'm what's it called? A professional, not professional. God, personal trainer. So some stuff that has to do with certain muscle mass is genetics.
Yeah.
And just how your body takes certain muscle mass and bone structure, and it can just make you look big.
Yeah. I think he's in that like Giant Gonzalez. What's the other guy in AEW that's with he's
I
with
don't know his name. With Jay Lethal. I know who you're talking about, but I don't know his name.
Yeah, I don't know that those guys are necessarily,
He used to be a basketball player.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if those guys necessarily have a whole lot going for them other than size. I don't know what their actual abilities are. Braun Strowman's, I think, a good combination though of the size and like having some actual ability.
Size, strength, even speed. That man's fast.
Oh yeah. I like Strowman. I'm glad he's back in WWE.
I'm glad he's doing something.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he's not tagging with children, I'm down to kind of get invested in him again. They just got
lost track of the whole Nicholas thing. I forgot that was my first WrestleMania I ever watched. Was the whole WrestleMania 34.
It's terrible.
It wasn't a bad WrestleMania.
Oh, not Mania, but the Nicholas angle thing that they did. It's just so bad. I couldn't believe that they did that.
They beat one of my favorite tag teams of all time.
Who did they beat again? Refresh my
They
memory.
beat the Bar, Cesaro and Sheamus.
Oh, okay. That makes it even worse.
I know, right? And they made it kind of a joke, and I was like, yeah, but they beat two of my favorite. They beat two of my favorite guys as a tag team.
Yeah, a child.
Yeah, and the child didn't even get the pin. The child was supposed to. I think the child was supposed to get the pin or something. Like they were going to make it happen. Like the child would get confidence, but he just tagged out to Braun. He was scared.
And speaking of which, AEW did a thing not too long ago with FTR. One of the FTR guys brought his daughter in.
His daughter, yeah,
yeah, and it wasn't a match. She didn't wrestle a match, thank God. But it was still such a cringy, spot for me. They beat up Sanjay Dutt, and then had her, put her foot on his chest and kind of, count the pin themselves. And
yeah.
It's just, super cringe, and I don't know.
Kids in wrestling, there's certain things that work. There was a Matt Cardona clip that I've seen.
Well, I'd say, I don't know if you're familiar with the old, angle with Raven and Sandman. Raven, kind of took Sandman's kid and like brainwashed him into dressing like him and being a follower, of Raven. That was cool. And similarly,
it was the whole kid and wife kidnapping thing.
Yeah. And Dominic when he was a kid, the Eddie Guerrero
ladder match thing. Yeah.
I think those are good, examples of times where kids were involved and with wrestling and it worked and it was good.
Mm-hmm.
Even to a much lesser degree, even the Bailey, her time in NXT, the little Bailey wannabe girl, I can't remember her name, but
don't remember.
It's like Izzy maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
When Bailey had the ponytail, so.
Right. She had a little mini me, that would sit ringside at all the NXT tapings, and I think she got kind of involved once or twice.
I think I like Damage Control Bailey and NXT Bailey. I think those are the best Baileys so far.
Yeah.
I didn't like Boston Hug Connection Bailey.
Well, it was good to finally, kind of let her go away for a little while.
Branch out. She's like really good as a heel.
Yeah, surprisingly. She was one that, stayed face for a long time, and I didn't really know, if she was ever gonna turn heel or really be able to turn heel successfully. But she's, I think, proven that she can work both sides of that coin.
Mm-hmm. And there's some people where I'm like, you're gonna be good as a wrestler if you're good as a heel, great as a face, and just can be loved whenever something whenever the crowd is supposed to react how they react.
Yeah. Get the desired reaction, and as we talked about before, it's weird to me, when heels get cheered. And I don't know. I don't know if you're a wrestler and your goal is to get booed, because you're working as a heel and you're doing dastardly things. And I mean, is it okay, to be cheered? I mean, I guess people like you, you're popular.
I guess it's like the Roman Reigns incident when he became the tribal chief.
Yeah.
He's a heel. Like, there's no doubt about it. He's a heel. That whole character is supposed to be a heel.
Right.
People love him. People will cheer for him. They love the whole tribal chief thing.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I don't know, how I feel about that. If
I mean, it works. They've like.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to move merch and people like you and you're popular, but from an artistic standpoint, your goal is to go out here and be the bad guy, and get people to boo you, I don't know. It's almost like you're not succeeding at your goal.
Intended for you. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. Like I said, it's one of those things where, like, maybe you're not succeeding at getting people to boo you, but people are enjoying watching you and they're entertained by you. So it's still, it's a win-win.
Right.
MJF, falls into that category too. I know a lot of people boo him, and there are people who legit, don't like the guy, but he can come out and say some horrible things and still get some cheers.
Mm-hmm. He can be a heel all he wants to, but there will always be those people that see and love him for, like, his whole character.
Yeah. I think the Christian, stuff that he was, Christian Cage recently in AEW, the stuff that he was doing with Jungle Boy in terms of, like, cutting some pretty, talking about his dad being dead, and
that's it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, but I mean, these days, like, what are you going to do to get some boos? And it worked in that sense, There's tons of people. I saw people online who were, like, legit upset with Christian Cage, for being mean to Jungle Boy in that way, So
yeah, I guess they needed that reaction.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're somebody like Christian Cage, who's been around for a while, and people enjoy you, it's like maybe you got to take that extra step to get some boos.
Mm.
And I'm sure that's something that, like, he talked about with Jungle Boy beforehand and got the okay. I don't think he was just,
Right. It was not like he just popped it up on him and wanted a genuine reaction, kind of.
Right. Unlike, Sammy Guevara calling Eddie Kingston fat.
Yeah.
He's not wrong. Kingston is fat.
Even what's his name? Scott Steiner. His whole thing about the whole fat thing, like he hates.
I was about to say, every time I see Eddie Kingston pop up on my screen, the clip of Scott Steiner, doing
He's
that.
fat.
Fat. I just
talk about Samoa Joe and all that. I'm like,
yeah, pops into my head every time.
I never got why Scott Steiner never really liked fat wrestlers or bigger wrestlers.
Well, I mean, look at Scott Steiner. The dude is
he's muscle house. He was big. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, steroids will do that to you.
Yeah. I was gonna say you didn't do that all by yourself, buddy.
Yeah. But yeah, I get it. And I was gonna say there's nothing necessarily wrong with being fat. I mean, look at
just build off of that really well.
Well, Dusty Rhodes is one of the greatest of all time, and Dusty Rhodes was fat.
Vader,
Bam Bam Bigelow, Big Boss Man,
Cactus Jack.
Yeah, I mean, even
he was more of a dad bod, but he was still like really great.
Steiner would have classified him as fat. Yeah, even Akeem, one man gang.
Mm-hmm. Mark Henry.
Yeah, Mark Henry. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, you can. Of course, you have your Bastion Boogers and your, certain other guys that didn't really
not really that good, and they were
didn't really have it. But I mean, having that size advantage, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
And then you got those guys that wrestling's in their blood, and they don't really. The reaction from the crowd and the character that they are, they don't need to really be that fit. Like the Malvia family, the Rocks family. You have Yokozuna, Umaga, Rikishi.
Oh man, and Yokozuna. I'm glad you brought him up.
Big man.
He was huge, but he was actually, man, if you go back and watch him wrestle and watch his matches, he was better than I think a lot of people give him credit for. The dude, I mean, Yokozuna used to throw out a super kick, on a regular basis, and it was man, a thing of beauty.
Top rope a lot of times too.
Yeah. Dude had a good super kick, and I mean, he could, he was capable.
I was gonna say the big guys that, as long as they're talented, as long as they're on the mic, as long as they're well loved, doesn't matter if they're fat.
Oh yeah, it's not an issue, not a problem. I think it's kind of amusing that Eddie Kingston is legit like bothered by that, like people calling him fat. It really, you can tell it bothers him. And it's just weird because, I mean, who cares?
Probably got something to do with his past.
Probably. He might have been a fat kid and picked on,
Picked on a lot for his weight. Yeah. That can do something. That can do that to people.
By all, measurements, Kingston is somebody that's successful. He makes more money than I will probably ever make in my life. He's doing what he loves. He's capable. I'm not a Kingston fan, but he's good at what he does, So yeah, I don't understand why it bothers him so much.
I think you brought this up last time. The realest and scariest picture in AEW was that Kingston picture with him all bloodied up and with the gasoline can.
Oh yeah, when he's walking out with the gasoline can.
I think that's the scariest picture from AEW that's ever been shown.
Probably, it's up there for sure. I did just find out apparently there's beef with the LAX guys, the proud and powerful. Santana and Ortiz apparently are not getting along. I don't know if you've heard about that.
I didn't know.
Yeah, that's I think part of the reason that they're not really using them right now or doing anything, because they're beefing. Again, it's stuff that I read online. I'm not privy to any insider information other than just what I see online. But I think Conan maybe did an interview or something and was talking about the situation, talking about how they're basically disagreeing over how they've been used in AEW. You have one of the guys who's perfectly happy to just take the paycheck, and you know, not that bothered by it, while the other guy, I guess, kind of wants better treatment.
Wants more.
Yeah, so they're kind of, I guess, at odds. So it'd be interesting to see if they can kind of work that out, because I will say they're probably underutilized in AEW. Their time just before going to AEW, when they were in Impact, was great, man. They were putting on some really, really good matches. And then, going to AEW, they did seem to kind of, fall down a peg or two, at least in my view. I don't know if really, like, having them be lackeys in a stable for Chris Jericho was really the best thing for them.
I have an opinion on tag teams. It's a certain opinion. It can be storyline wise, it could be friend wise, it could be coworker wise. But I think it has to do the same with maybe a what would be a good example? A certain incident where you make one superstar team with another one and they become champions, but they don't really have that chemistry. They don't really get along in real life.
Yeah.
Like Rollins and Ambrose, they're not really good friends in real life.
Really?
Yeah, no. I think Rollins is the one that I think Roman and Dean don't like the most.
Huh.
Roman and Mox or Dean or whatever get along just fine. I think Rollins is the one they don't like hanging around.
Well, I mean, that would, I guess, make that heel turn from Rollins back in the day even that much more sweet.
Mm-hmm. Because it probably didn't really mean nothing to them.
Right.
So it wouldn't really ruin a friendship. Because I think Rollins was very egotistical in his younger WWE days.
Rightfully so. I did, I watched a Rob Van Dam clip just yesterday where he was talking about the CM Punk situation. He was at some event and somebody asked him about it, and he spoke on it, and just kind of talking about how pretty much being a professional wrestler, you're what you're doing is you're being like peak narcissist. You're very egotistical. It's an ego driven business, and you kind of have to be kind of full of yourself, to even try to make it, in the business.
Right.
So, I think to some degree it's good to have an ego, and it, like the point that he made though is when you're, kind of believing your own hype, it's like every wrestler, of course, is going to go on the screen or go out in front of the crowd and tell you they're the best.
Right, because that's kind of what they're supposed to do.
Right. But when the camera's not rolling, when you're not in front of the crowd, obviously you're all just cogs in the machine. You're all playing your roles and playing your part, and it's a collective effort. So, obviously we know a lot of the guys believe their own hype, so.
And it's just that fan feedback that also helps with that.
Oh yeah. When you're constantly,
it.
You're constantly telling people you're the greatest thing since sliced bread, and you have millions of people, probably telling you the same thing. It would be hard not to kind of buy into it yourself.
I think the only few people that don't ever have let that go into their head were John Cena and Dwayne Johnson. They've gone to do great things even beyond WWE, and they have not let like all that ego and everything get to their head.
Yeah. And I would, even argue maybe, I know it might seem a bit confusing, but Bret Hart, he seems like somebody that's full of himself, but I think more, that a lot of his kind of care for the business kind of gets mistaken for him just being very full of himself, when in reality he wants more for the business.
Right.
I was I think also reading recently Perry Saturn was talking about Bret Hart when he came to WCW, and how they day one they were walking into the arena together, and they get to the back, and Bret had his own dressing room. Just a sign on the door that said Bret Hart, and he was like, "What is this?" And Saturn told him, like, some of the guys, Hogan, you've got your own dressing room, but we'll be down the hall in the locker room. And it really, like, pissed Bret Hart off. From what I was reading, he ripped the sign off the door, took it to Bischoff or whoever was in charge, and told him that, like, he dresses with the boys. And yeah, Saturn had nothing but nice things to say about Bret Hart.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Bret Hart too, deserved better than what he ended up with. So I kind of get why he still harps on Goldberg, and I don't know, seems kind of bitter, but it's a rightful, kind of bitterness, I guess.
Yeah, it's just Bret Hart to me I never really liked Bret Hart. I never got into Bret Hart. Of course, I've always followed his matches. I've followed some stuff that he's done in real life. I don't think, like you said, I don't think anyone's ever talked badly about Bret Hart in real life, like his actual him as a person.
Yeah, he seems to be pretty well liked, at least from other people in the business.
Yeah.
And he is. I mean, I'm a big Bret Hart guy. He is one of the best to ever do it, man. When I was a kid, that was his heyday. I used to, fantasize about being one of the kids, getting to go to the show, and like Bret Hart would come out and he would
put the sunglasses on you.
Yeah, man, that was a dream of mine, man. I would have loved to have something like that happen. But you also had the Shawn Michaels Bret Hart, feud.
I was gonna bring up the whole screw job.
Well, and you were either for Bret or for Shawn. You were a Shawn guy or you a Bret guy, and this was before the internet and the behind the scenes. Like, I had no idea as a kid that there was like any
actual kind of beef.
Right. So it wasn't like a real life, like who are you siding with kind of thing. But I was never a big Shawn Michaels guy, to be honest. I've grown to appreciate Shawn Michaels as I've gotten older. Still not big on him, but I think a lot of that does really stem from being a kid and just being a Bret Hart loyalist, and just really, being in Bret's corner. And then, of course, getting older, learning about the backstage, stuff, it still makes it kind of hard, sometimes to be a Shawn Michaels guy. And I think Shawn Michaels has really like grown a lot and changed a lot. And
I think with more of him being in the business, I think he's come to realize a few things that he's done wrong and try to right those things.
Right. And I'm all for, redemption stories, and I think people can change, and he seems, to be better. But when you read some of the stories about the things that he used to do,
I think there was one incident during him in a Stone Cold match where he actually was very kind to a fan. Have you seen that clip where it was a mentally ill fan that accidentally came through the barricades during the Shawn Michaels?
Oh, yeah. No, I have seen that.
And even Stone Cold was trying to keep fighting, and Shawn was trying to calm down, push him back and stuff.
Yeah.
And Stone Cold just off to the side, like, come on, man, we got to do this match and everything. But he's just guiding the kid back over the barricade and making sure he's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think Shawn was a bad guy, in terms of, kind of outside of the business. I think he would treat fans, respectfully.
He was no macho man.
Yeah.
He was
I
no
mean,
Randy Savage when it came to fans, though.
yeah. I don't think he was necessarily. It's just some of his business ethic, some of the stuff that he would kind of get into, behind the scenes in terms of his coworkers, the wrestling, stuff. Even the sunny days, kind of stuff with Brett was just that's kind of low.
Yeah.
So kind of messing. I don't know, that kind of stuff. It's like almost like you're messing with another man's family, in real life, and it's just I don't know. It's kind of not a good look. But
So I had something on my mind for a while. Factions. Not big fan of factions, but I do like factions. I love tag teams. Not a big fan of factions, but I do like them.
there's a good middle ground,
Right.
Obviously you don't want late WCW where you've got the NWO, the white and black, the red and black, the LWO. You've got and it then your WCW guys pretty much make up a very small portion of your roster. It's like almost everybody's in NWO, of some kind. And then AEW, where they're at now, it's like everybody's linked up with somebody else. You don't really have, I guess, like a true. I mean, are there any like true loners in AEW, like people who are unaffiliated and don't have friends or factions or groups or tag teams? It's just a guy that's kind of on his own,
I'm trying to think. Someone with no friends. I wouldn't say Hook because Hook still has Donhausen kind of.
Well, Hook also has Taz. Even though Taz is not active roster, he's on commentary, so he's affiliated.
Right. I wouldn't
Um,
know any loner though.
I can't think of anybody that they currently have who's just like truly unaffiliated with anybody else. Just
I'm actually trying to think very hard about this.
yeah. And if they don't, they need to. I mean, it would be good to have a guy who's
It's
a
not
renegade.
loyal to anyone, just wants to do his own thing.
Yeah.
But back to the faction thing. So I put in the private chat a tiny list of things.
Yeah.
So out of all the current wrestlers, either in Impact, New Japan, AEW, WWE, just think of all those wrestlers. Think as many as you can think of that are currently in wrestling, and think of a faction. So it has to be two people as a tag team, a mid-card runner, a main eventer, and a female competitor.
Yeah. So kind of like fantasy booking a stable consisting of those people.
Right. And the tag team can be female tag team, or the whole thing can be female and one male, just a whole mixture of things.
Yeah. Are we talking? You said any promotion. Are we keeping the faction within one promotion, or are we just like?
You could just mix and match. Think of something that go together really well.
Yeah.
Certain wrestlers that will work well together. You can in the tag team, it doesn't actually have to be a tag team. You can form a tag team.
I got you.
Wrestlers as tag team.
Let me see. Let's see if I can pull up some rosters so I can make sure I'm being thorough here.
Because I already have my main eventer and I already have my mid carder and my female. I just not just have my tag team.
Okay. Well, you started off, and who do you have already? See if we can, help you fill in that last piece.
So female competitor. I said I had one, but I'm actually stuck between two.
Okay.
I'm stuck between Rhea Ripley and Toni Storm.
Okay. So who else you got for? You said you had mid card and main event.
I had a mid card. I had a main event. For a mid-carder, just as a mid-card person, it could be from main event to mid-card. Just I put in that mid-card slot. Wardlow.
Okay.
Put in Wardlow as my mid-carder. And have either Toni Storm or Rhea Ripley as that female competitor. I'll tell you the main eventer last. I think I have my tag team ready.
Okay, so we got Rhea Ripley, Wardlow.
We got Rhea Ripley and Wardlow. It's kind of a strange mixture, but she's done really well with Judgment Day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting China vibes.
Kind of, yeah. I don't like the whole thing with Dominic Mysterio though. With Rhea Ripley,
Dominic's just he needs to take some time. He's not
heel material yet.
Well, he's not really suited for the position that they have him in the company. I mean, I get who his father is, but he's pretty weird. He's pretty green. I'd send him back down to NXT. Let him spend some time there.
I was gonna say I'd like Dominic to be a part of his own thing. Like Dominic be a part of NXT, maybe even win the if they still have the Cruiserweight title, that'd be awesome. But if he won something like, I don't know, the North American title, not even that, but like had some good feuds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tag team wise, I'd have to go with a tag team of, I have one. It's Dominic Dijakovic, aka T-Bar.
Yeah. Donovan Dijak.
Dijak, right. So Dijak and Finn Balor as a tag team.
Okay.
That's always been one of my favorite things, is to combine those two.
Okay. So
and regular Finn Balor, not Demon and not Judgment Day, just Finn Balor.
Yeah.
Or even Prince Devon, either one.
Now, is this Babyface faction? Or
Heel faction.
Heel faction?
Heel faction. Main eventer. Main event title, like title picture. It's not a big guy. I'm like eliminating all the big guys. Do you have anyone yet from your faction?
Let's see. I don't know. I like the Butcher and the Blade. I think they're I don't know. I think they'd be a good I guess tag team to kind of put in a faction, because they seem to kind of be floundering a little bit. I didn't really care for them with the Hardy faction though. But yeah, I'd probably try to do something with Butcher, Blade, and even Bunny, since she's linked up with them. Let's see. Trying to kind of bridge companies here, and try to think of something that's pretty.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just looking through. I'm like, main eventer. Who'd be good main event material? Someone that'd be awesome in the main event that would put on. I think I know who it is. Hold on. He just had that match tonight. By the way, the news on the whole fight, the triple threat, Braun Breaker retains the NXT championship.
Okay.
So he's still NXT champion. Alba Fire lost to Mandy Rose, and Mandy Rose retains NXT Women's Championship.
Okay. That seems like a good call.
Yeah. Damon Kemp was beat by Julius Creed, so that Brutus Creed can have a match against Damon Kemp either this Tuesday or next Tuesday.
Okay.
We had the NXT Fatal 5-Way ladder match. We had Wesley, Nathan Frazier, Von Wagner, Oliver Carter. I forget what his name is, and Carmelo Hayes. We had Wesley pick up his first singles title win in NXT, becoming new North American champion.
Okay.
We had Apollo Crews versus Grayson Waller in a casket match. Apollo Crews winning and putting Grayson Waller away. Then we had Cora Jade versus Roxanne Perozzo. These aren't all in order. And Roxanne Perozzo putting away Cora Jade.
Okay.
So those are results from tonight.
Sounds like, for the ones that I'm familiar with, it sounds like a pretty good call.
Yeah, I think Mandy Rose retains a good call.
Yeah. And she's still doing the Toxic Attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a good little faction there too. Been pretty entertained by what I've seen of that. I know mentioned before I did some photography for a little while in Atlanta. Gigi Dolan is somebody that I saw on a regular basis before she got signed with NXT. She was Priscilla Kelly was her name prior to changing it up to Gigi Dolan. And she was a regular in Atlanta, man. I saw her wrestle all the time, and likewise Kiera Hogan, who's one of the baddies for Jade Cargill. Those girls are both, really talented. They're they were kind of green getting both of those deals, but they've, I think, kind of stepped up, both of them. Kiera Hogan that had that little time and Impact before jumping over to AEW. They don't really seem to be using her much outside of just being a lackey for Jade Cargill, but I think she's good in that role. But yeah, Gigi Dolan, she's been doing pretty well for herself.
Yeah, that's good. I like Toxic Attraction. And speaking of Jade Cargill, for me, I don't very much like Jade Cargill.
I think she's pretty good. I
just never got into it. Never got in there.
I wouldn't say that I'm a fan, but I get it. She's got an incredible, physique. I think
it killed me when she brought in Shaquille O'Neal. I was like, yeah, no.
Yeah, it's Shaq's got a little wrestling history, and I like Shaquille O'Neal. He seems like a good, good person, good dude. But yeah, I wasn't really crazy. I haven't really been entertained by any of the Jade Cargill stuff, though. I mean, like I said, it's I get it, but at the same time, it's not my cup of tea. So, it'll be interesting to see who gives her first loss, because she's on track to have Goldberg numbers at this point.
Well, Asuka was also getting those Goldberg numbers too.
Who is that?
Asuka. Yeah, from her NXT run and early main event run, just the undefeated streak of Asuka.
Yeah,
one of the greatest things that happened in modern day wrestling.
Yeah. Asuka, she's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. And it's not like Roman Reigns has an undefeated streak. Roman Reigns was beaten in a singles match at the Royal Rumble of last year by Seth Rollins. Everyone forgets that he lost to Seth Rollins via disqualification.
Yeah, I wouldn't have recalled that either. It's a DQ, so it's not exactly the same as taking a pin, but it's definitely a blemish on the record.
Right, because Roman's never been pinned. I think the last time he got pinned in a recording was by King Corbin, and on SmackDown he got pinned by King Corbin before the Royal Rumble of 2020.
Reigns did?
Yep, Reigns got pinned by Corbin on Friday night SmackDown. I think it was 2 weeks or 3 weeks before the Royal Rumble of 2020.
That's pretty amazing.
So he hasn't been pinned. I don't think he's technically submitted I know he's tapped Brian before when the ref wasn't looking or whatever, but he's never lost by pinfall ever since then. So, yeah. His last time he got pinned was late December 2019.
So I'm gonna change up my my faction here. I think I'm gonna go with the Chaos Project as the tag team. Abaddon.
Abaddon. Oh, I like Abaddon. That's a good thing.
As the female. So put those together. The mid card, I'm gonna go Evil Uno. And then main eventer, I'm gonna put in Pentagon. Split him up from Phoenix, and push. Give him a singles push. Nice little monster faction there. I'd be down for that. The Chaos Project, is underrated in my view.
Very underrated. Luther and Serpentico.
Yeah. And Serpentico, that's my boy. I've met him a couple times. Lucha World Order, still rocking that. But yeah, they're underrated, man. Which AEW hasn't really pushed them. They kind of just job them out, but they've got potential, man.
What would the name for? I'm already thinking of a name for yours. I'm like, man, that's a good team. I'm already thinking of a name for it. What would you think the name for that faction would be?
That's a good question. I do like. I mean, the Chaos, Chaos Project is a good name, but coming up with something fresh and new. Getting kind of Decay vibes from that faction as well. Yeah, let's see.
I was gonna say, I thought of sort of a name. I was like, the Forbidden Order sounds really good.
Yeah, I could get behind that.
It's not quite the Dark Order or Chaos Project, but I was just like, it'd be too. If it was Dark Order, it would just be Dark Order because you have Pentagon. He has his dark thing. You got Evil Uno, Dark Order, Abaddon, a really dark character.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to change up my mid-carder. I don't think we should have Wardlow in my faction. I'm going to change up my mid-carder. I'm going to have my tag team still Dominic Dijakovic. I can't say his last name. I would say Dijakovic, but is it?
He's Donovan Dijak to me, man. I'm not. I have a hard time learning these new names.
Heel Dijak, the Feast Your Eyes Dijak, not T-Bar, but Feast Your Eyes Dijak, a Prince Devitt heel version of Finn Balor, not Demon and not Judgment Day version.
Right.
Female is going to be Rhea Ripley. So that's really the tag team, the female. I'm going to change the mid-carder. I don't think Wardlow I should have as a mid-carder.
Wardlow's main event material too. I think him being stuck in the mid card is kind of a shame.
Yeah.
Because Wardlow was hot for a minute, man. I think he's kind of cooled off. So if they want to put him in the main event picture, they're gonna have to put some work into to kind of build him back up and get him hot again.
I think I'm going to put Buddy Matthews in my mid card.
Ooh, yeah, he's good, man.
I'm gonna say I like his run as cruiserweight champion when he was in WWE as Buddy Murphy.
Honestly, being in AEW now with what's the faction that he's with now with Black and King.
What was it? Oh God. I knew what it was called.
I know what it's called too. I'm drawing a blank though.
I haven't seen him in the ring in so long. Like all three of them at the same time.
House of Black.
House of Black. There you go.
Yeah, Buddy's. I think probably my favorite of those three.
He's really talented.
Yeah.
Even with his run with Seth Rollins, which is my least favorite run, I was like, he's still really good.
Oh, he's phenomenal. He's great. It's kind of a shame some of the teams, because the pairing of him and is it Wesley Blake and Alexa Bliss and NXT, that was a fun time.
I'm trying to think of the main eventer. I'm stuck on 3 main event material, actually.
Who are the 3 you got? That's a pretty good faction so far.
Okay. I think the worst one I have right now, or the one that doesn't really fit, is Moose.
Yeah, not a Moose guy myself.
Let's say Moose probably doesn't fit with all of them. Really, it's down to 2. I'm thinking Jay White, the Switchblade.
Okay.
Think of Jay White. I think sometimes he's overrated, but also I get it. Jay White's a really talented person, and he is main event material. He's always been main event material.
I don't know. I think I'd say Jay White's underrated, which
really?
I think part of that kind of stems from being the Bullet Club, guy. He's had. I mean, think of who he's following. Going. You got Prince Devitt, you got AJ Styles, you got Kenny Omega. Some hard acts to follow, So I think that's probably why he gets kind of overlooked. But I think his New Japan stuff is great.
His best work is probably New Japan.
Yeah, even when he came to Impact recently, and they were having some Jay White over in Impact, it was good, man. I was entertained. I'm a Bullet Club guy though, so it's like for life, man.
See, the thing is with the faction, the main eventer is usually the leader.
Right.
The one that tries to keep people together, the one that usually is hard to turn on.
Yeah, and it would be weird to have a faction where the mid-carder or somebody else was leading. Kind of has to be the main event guy.
Kind of why where I put it as kind of a main event and mid-card as a tag team. Rhea Ripley as the female, kind of already doing her own thing, kind of the talker.
Mm-hmm.
And the mid-carder just being, Buddy Murphy, Buddy Matthews. Yeah. He's usually a follower.
Yeah. But again, I mean, he's somebody I could see, pushing to the main event and being a leader.
Mm-hmm.
So I think all of those, people that you mentioned all have that potential. They're all potential standout, main eventers.
This is really hard for the main event. I'm really stuck on Jay White, and there's one other guy. His name eludes me, but I can see him.
Who's he with?
I don't think he's with anyone. Oh, like by himself. He's never showed up in AEW.
Okay. I mean, is he working for another promotion?
I'm unsure. I've only seen him like a few times. And he's indie scene. He's not AEW or all that. He's indie scene. No. I can't think of his name, so I'll think of someone else. I can't think of his name. I was like, he would fit perfectly. I've seen him before. He does great work. He'd fit perfectly in this faction.
Well, I mean, I think you've built a pretty good faction there with Jay White. So it's I guess Finn Balor, Jay White, Rhea Ripley, Buddy Matthews. Who was the other?
Dijak.
Yeah, Donovan Dijak. Yeah, that's a pretty good faction, man.
It's good. I just
Um,
feel like the Jay White's kind of out of place in a little bit of it. And I really do want to push someone into that main event category.
yeah, who's not necessarily already in the main event,
Yeah.
category. Um,
I'm going to replace the main event. It's not going to be Jay White. God, what's his name? He was in WWE. God, I'm drawing a blank. I'm drawing a big blank on this.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know who you're thinking of.
God, this is terrible. I'm so sorry. Wait, would that work? Yeah. Okay. So main eventer, it's going to be a push from kind of mid card and tag team scene into main event scene. He's not really a good talker, but he's a tremendous athlete that I feel like would be great push into the main event, even as a faction leader.
So, Luigi Primo.
No.
Who you're thinking of?
No. Well, he was Impact World Champion, NWA champion. I keep forgetting about that. I never had watched him. It's LA Knight, Eli Drake as the main.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of.
So he would replace Jay White as your main
He'd replace Jay White, in my opinion.
Okay, that's a good call, I think.
I knew who I was thinking of, and he wasn't from the independent scene. I was thinking of John Morrison. God, I was like, thank God I didn't really think of John Morrison. So
Johnny Underground, Johnny Impact,
Johnny Elite.
Yeah, Johnny Elite. Yeah, once for one night only.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's. I mean, what's he doing right now?
Impact, maybe.
I don't think so.
I don't think he's doing anything, actually. I think he's taking a break.
Yeah. It's Taya Valkyrie's man.
Mm-hmm.
She just won tag team title in Impact.
I saw that. That was cool.
Yeah.
She also got a very short run in WWE. She got like released 3 months after she got signed.
Yeah, I mean, her gimmick was weird. A
little pull thing.
Yeah, I wasn't really feeling it, and I'm big on her. I'm a big fan of hers, but yeah, her WWE time just was not working for me. Admittedly, I wasn't following it every week, but I was following it as much as I could because I was, such a big fan of hers. But yeah, I wasn't feeling that. Happy to see her go back to Impact though, and go back to kind of
with what she does.
Yeah.
So I got tag team with. I guess I'll go with the Devon, like a heel Devon, Dijak. We got Matthews, Ripley, and then we have LA Knight, Eli Drake, whatever.
Right.
Like all in their like heel type forms.
Yeah. My faction would definitely be a heel faction as well, and
heel factions are just easy to make.
Yeah. Like keeping mine. I think trying to kind of keep my goal was to kind of keep with the theme of Halloween Havoc and kind of put together a
superstars like those dark.
Yeah, a spooky faction.
That was pretty good. What would your name be? I'm thinking of a name for mine. What would your name be?
Oh man, I don't know, the word dark and darkness, kind of keeps popping into mind. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think on that. It's a pretty interesting faction, though. I will probably now kind of want to see that happen.
Oh no, I'm trying to think of a name. You know how Retribution kind of had that like single name?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of that, but like Deception.
Yeah, that could work. It could work.
Because you always have Retribution trying to take back their time and their video time they get, because it was mostly people that were underused,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then ironically became underused.
Yeah.
Like Deception, people that you wouldn't think would work together or would turn that certain way and become a certain type of people.
Yeah.
Even though it's happened.
Right.
Like everyone I've named has been a heel before, so I guess Deception wouldn't work. But I don't know the name. Maybe Dark Descent. No.
Yeah.
Very bad with names. I'm very bad with team names.
That's a hard thing to come up with. So you got to think of like marketability too, and you know, something that rolls off the tongue, something that would look good on a t-shirt.
T-shirts.
So.
Think of something like can have it initials or a t-shirt or a certain font.
Right.
We're almost at the end of the time that we have for our podcast, for our show here today. Do we have any final notes that you want to hit on?
I'm not sure. You know, maybe again, you know, get some feedback. Thinking about maybe, talking about toys. You know, we're both collectors, so maybe talking about that some.
Hold on. The room's pretty dark, but just
Oh yeah. I mean,
all that behind here, that behind you.
yeah. Maybe we can, you know, once a week, kind of touch on that a little bit, or maybe every other week, just kind of maybe talk about what's coming, you know, coming out, and kind of thoughts on that.
There's a really good like ultimate 2-pack ultimate figure coming out between Hogan and
the Mega Powers.
no, it's not Macho Man. It's someone else. I forget what it is, but it's Hogan with like a really old World Wrestling Federation Championship, like the green belt.
Mm-hmm.
But I forget who it's with. I forget who's in it with him.
I like the Ultimates, man. I like the Ultimates. I got an Ultimate Hogan and Ultimate Mr. T recently. That
my dad's got them.
Yeah, they're good, man. I love all the Ultimate figures.
I have the Ultimate Fiend still in the box.
Yeah, I've got that. I don't have any of them in the box. I've only got a few that are boxed. I like to let mine breathe. The ones that I have in the box are either autographed or ones that I'm hanging on to in hopes of getting autographed one day.
Yeah. The ones I usually keep in the box are either ones that I feel like should stay in the box. Like if they were once released superstars, I'll keep in the box. Like I have Enzo and Kaz in their boxes. I have First Time in the Lines in their boxes.
Yeah.
I've got actually I have 2 First Time in the Line Fiend SummerSlam ones from his debut. I have one in the box and I have one breathing.
Yeah. I've got a couple that I have, you know, one loose and one boxed. Like the first Chris Jericho AEW figure. And hopefully I can meet him again one day and get that signed. But I do have I've got an autographed Cody Rhodes and an autographed Stardust. And he actually autographed them as, you know, Cody Rhodes, and then the other as Stardust. So
that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right, I think we just about hit the time limit. Next week, what time you thinking? What day you thinking? Weekends again?
Yeah, we'll try to I guess go back to Sunday. That might be the day that works best for me.
Yep, Sunday nights.
Yeah.
And guys, if you will, like the video and subscribe. I know if you watch it live right now or if you're watching it later, I'm going to edit these videos at some point and put them up on our channel together. It'll be the Babyface breakdown. But we can't really do lives on that channel until we get a certain amount of subscribers or a certain amount of viewers. It's not much. Just this channel that we're using right now only has 41 subscribers, so it's not much, guys.
Yeah.
But until then, we're the Bad Brothers, and this was Babyface Breakdown. I'm John Advisor, Victor Thorne.
Yeah, Bush Dingo, the Luchador.
And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you
ya.
for watching. See you guys.